Guys, can you believe 60,000 agents have left the business to date from the beginning of the year 2023? Freaking mind-blowing, right? Mark McMahon Real Estate here. Today I want to talk about that and how you don't have to be one of those statistics, guys. You don't. All right, so there's a lot of people out there leaving the business right now that probably can do very, very well with it. They just need that little extra oomph to get them through, right? I've got it for you. I want to talk to you about that today. So that sounds interesting. Stay tuned and let's get right into it. Guys, 60,000 people have left. And actually to date, it's probably even more than that because this is July. That was last month's number. And I know why. We've got a couple million real estate agents in the United States, and that's probably too many for the amount of inventory we've got. But there are people out there that are killing it. I know friends that are making millions of dollars a year as agents, and they are not anywhere near leaving this industry. I know I'm still making an awful lot of money as an agent and an investor, and I am not anywhere near leaving this industry. But for those of you out there that are struggling right now, or those of you out there that are just getting into the game, there's ways that you can get business that I figured out early on in my career that I want to share with you today so that you don't have to leave. All right, so let's go with the very first thing that I started doing when I got into the business. That was number one, networking with people that were buying properties. And I'm not talking about Joe and Sue down the street that may be upgrading their house. I'm talking about people that buy properties on a regular basis. And I think that's probably what got me over the hump, because in the beginning, you get those first couple of deals from friends and family. Actually, the first two deals I got were from two friends. Both of those happened to be my wife's friends, right? Other couples that we knew. And those were the first two deals we got, and they were mediocre, a lot of hard work, mediocre, closed 2 deals in 6 months, and I think I netted about $12,000, whatever the number was. And this in the early 2000s, probably 2005, 6, somewhere around there, right when I got my license. And it wasn't even enough to buy groceries, guys. I mean, think about that. We had a house payment and everything else. So it wasn't really an exciting amount of money. But shortly after that, I went to an investment club meeting, and this was probably, 2008, when the market started to crash, and I was getting more and more, not scared would be the right word, petrified probably would be the correct word to use, description, because I could see everything that I'd been working on crumbling before it even started. And I thought, my God, if I can't find business, then I'm going to have to go back to construction, which I didn't really want to do. And so I went to this investment club meeting and met a bunch of investors, all right? So I did 2 things at that meeting that night. Number 1, I learned that I also wanted to be an investor. And number 2, I learned that there was a lot of people looking for properties. So while I was desperately searching for buyers, I walked into a room full of buyers. And think about the power of that. And now you don't even have to go to a room. You can go to chats, you can go to Facebook groups, you can go all kinds of places to meet investors. But think about that. You're out there looking day and night for buyers because, let's face it, it's typically easier to find a buyer than a listing, even though listings are much easier to have than buyers. So eventually we'll talk about that too, not today. But I was desperately searching for buyers because that's really all I felt like I was qualified to deal with at that time. Another thing we should talk about later time. And I was not having much luck with it because the recession was in full swing and people were backing off from buying, not running towards it. And so at this investor meeting, I found out that there was actually a group of people that constantly buy houses all the time, right? And those are investors. Now, yes, all the things that you hear about investors are basically true. They are difficult to work with because they know what they want. But the cool thing about that, though, is that they know what they want. When you're dealing with Joe and Maria, who are buying their first home, they have no idea what they want. You're going to look at 100 houses and they may not even buy anything. Or worse yet, they go to an open house on Saturday morning and they give you a call and say, my God, Mark, we found the house. It's perfect. And the agent was so sweet. We decided to go ahead and buy it from him and work with him. And we really appreciate you helping us and educating us and spending so much time with us. And we're so excited about this new house. I hope you're happy for us. Anybody ever gotten one of those calls? I know I have. So to avoid all that, I decided to work with people that are more clinical, I guess, when it comes to buying properties. And so I actually started working with investors. And yeah, it's difficult at first because I wasn't sure what they were looking for, but I came up with a list of questions to ask them, the criteria they're looking for, where they want to go, how much they want to spend, how much they want to spend on the rehab or how much they want to spend on the rental rehab. And after going through all that and building up my stable of buyers, I now had people that were constantly buying. Yes, I still had to find the properties that fit their criteria because it's not a lot different than finding a house for a first-time buyer who doesn't really know what they're looking for. At least you know exactly what you're looking for. Now, you may only get one deal a year from an investor, but if you've got 12 investors, that's 12 a year. And if you've got investors that are really prolific and they're buying 2 or 3 houses a month, like a lot of guys I know, I mean, I used to buy 2 or 3 houses a month back when I was in full swing as a flipper. If you can find those people and have that consistent business and know exactly what to look for every day, life is golden. So just imagine the marketing campaigns you're doing right now. You're on the phone cold calling people. You're door knocking. You're sending out flyers. You're dropping off flyers and postcards and doing all of these things and doing yard sales and all the stuff that goes along with marketing as a real estate agent. And if you just took the time to concentrate on one little group of buyers and just spent 90% of your time doing that and 10% or 20% working on your farm, because I like diversity, right? When we're building our book of business, I like diversity. I like the fact that I've got different kinds of buyers, especially in my area when houses are selling here. Fixers are selling, out of our area where most of my investor buyers work and play and invest. They're in the $300,000 to $700,000 range, but in my area where I live, entry-level homes are 1.5 million. So pretty sweet to get some of those, and some up to 3 or 4 million. I had one last year at 3.5 million for a condo, and those are sweet deals too, and I'll never turn those down. But I'm not going to spend 100% of my time looking for that, because that business is cyclical. Yes, it's always there, but there's a lot of people going after that. However, on the investor side, there's not that many people going after it. Now, there's a lot of agents that say they're investor friendly because, yeah, they kind of play around with it. But I actually took a full front-on approach to this particular sector of buyer because I could see that it was relatively untapped and people weren't really serving these people with what they really wanted. Like, they'd show them properties that they thought were a good idea, but the investor had already told them, look, that's not what I'm looking for. And they bring them properties like, oh, well, but this one's interesting. I just want you to take a look at it. Investors aren't really interested in that. Now, maybe after you've worked with them for a while, you can toss those in now and then, but you need to bring them what they're looking for. So, to summarize, guys, if you can simply get people to buy from you on a consistent basis, there's no reason for you to ever leave this business. There's every reason in the world to stay in it. You don't want to be that 60,000 person statistic. And I'm going to say it right now. I do believe over the next couple of years, if inventory stays where it's at, interest rates stay where they're at, I do believe that there's going to be at least a couple of 100,000 more agents, if not more, leaving the business. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these agents never really got any traction to begin with. They came in the last 5 years when things were glorious and it was easy to get a listing and it was easy to find a buyer. It wasn't easy to get a house under contract, but it was easy to get a buyer. And they're finding that it's quite difficult now, and most of these folks, unfortunately, don't want to put the work in that's required. But my solution to this problem is not as hard as you think. It's not as hard as breaking into residential real estate, retail real estate. That requires far more attention. It takes 2 to 3 years to build that book of business. And again, I still think you should build that book of business, but working with investors will pay your bills, so to speak, and then some while you're doing that. So guys, two-pronged approach. if you really want to succeed and not leave this business, work with investors, learn how to work with investors, learn what they're looking for, learn how to speak their language, learn how to find them, learn how to comp properties like they comp them, learn how to figure out how much a rehab's going to cost. Do all of these things so that you can be ready to work with them the first time you talk to them. I don't suggest going in there and just starting to work with them if you don't know those things. So guys, if that sounds interesting, go out and do it. Go out and do it. There's no reason to leave this business. It's an amazing business, and I don't care what anybody says. I really don't. People are always buying. People are always selling. There's always business to be had out there. There's always a deal to be found. And you guys can do it if you want it bad enough. You're going to have to work. All right, guys? The other thing is, before I leave, the other thing is you guys are going to learn so much about investing that you'll become investors yourselves, which is probably even more important than becoming a great investor real estate agent. The reason being is because our retirement program in the real estate business sucks because there isn't one, right? You eat what you kill and you kill what you eat, and beyond that, there's nothing left, right? At the end of eating that thing, you've got to go out and find another thing to kill and eat. And you've got to do it over and over and over. By investing in property, number one, while you're working, you're going to alleviate a lot of the taxes that would have to pay normally on your regular income, i.e. your commission-based income. And number two, you're going to set yourself up for a retirement so that you can live the lifestyle that you want to when you retire, and perhaps even retire a little bit early, like I've been able to semi-retire. It's pretty cool. So anyway, guys, hopefully you found that helpful. If you have any questions on it, please comment down below. We answer everything. And let us know what your questions are, what your concerns are, what you're interested in us putting out as far as content. If you're a realtor that's looking to get into this type of business, working with investors, if you have questions, please put them in there. And guys, right now we have a free program out there on how you can learn to work with investors, and it's how to find your first 5 investor clients. It's free. We would normally charge probably a couple $100 for this. Again, there's no reason for so many people to be leaving this business. There's plenty of business out there, but you got to find it. The people that are leaving right now, we're used to having business dropped in their lap, and now that business is gone, and it's like, oh my God, what do I do? This is what you do, guys. This is what you do. Go to the link down below, click on it, download that, and let me know what you think, guys. I'm here to provide value. Please leave comments and let us know what you think. If you hate it, we want to hear it. If you think there's something we can add to it to make it better for you, let us know. Guys, we're interested in being here for you to help. All right, guys, appreciate you being here. By the way, if you like that, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, sign up for notifications so that you know every time we drop a video, and I'll see you next time.